This is probably one of the most important videos that I'm going to upload on this channel. This is because in this video I'm going to prove how Senna is a canon waifu. In order to do this, I'm going to talk about how Bleach Movie 1 fits into the timeline of the Bleach manga. Then I'm going to go over every instance that anything from Bleach Movie 1 is mentioned within the actual manga. In addition to this, we're also going to talk about what Kubo thinks about the first Bleach movie. And the last point that I'm going to speak about in this video is the state of Ichigo at the end of the movie, referencing him having forgotten about Senna, and speaking about the Bleach Movie 1 post-credit scene. So I'm really excited to talk about the topic of this video because I love Bleach Movie 1, and that I know I'm about to make somebody's waifu out there canon. So yeah, this is my video on how Bleach Movie 1 is canon to the manga. So the first Bleach movie, Memories of Nobody, debuted in Japanese theatres on the 16th of December 2006. At the start of volume 25, Kubo had commented on the release of the movie, stating that Bleach is now a movie and the filmmaker's attention to detail is evident in everything from the background art to the storyboards. He goes on to say that he thinks it's going to turn out amazing, and people who like the anime will really love it, and those of you who don't like the anime that much may be pleasantly surprised. Kubo himself states that he cannot wait to see it. From this comment, it is evident that Kubo was somewhat involved within the production of the first Bleach movie, whether if that's just overseeing the background art and the storyboards and giving his approval on the overall story. None of this is actually confirmed, and for the most part is just speculation, but from the points that I'm about to make, it's going to be evident that Kubo did actually like the story from Bleach Movie 1, as he incorporated some of the elements that were introduced within that story into his own manga. Now, the first Bleach movie introduces us to several new characters, of which include Senna and the members of the Ryudoji family, which was once a former noble family within the Soul Society, but they had been exiled over 1,000 years ago, and at present they are now referred to as the Dark Ones or the Fallen. We don't really know the reason behind why the Ryudoji family had fallen in status and thus were exiled from the Soul Society, but we do know that after being exiled, the family themselves wanted to be distanced from the Soul Society. The surviving members of the family, united and led by Ganryu, had come to be known as the Dark Ones. They had escaped into the Dangai, and it was not too long after going there where they had arrived within the Valley of Screams. It is within the Valley of Screams they had discovered entities known as blanks. Blanks are in fact souls which live within a newly introduced dimension called the Valley of Screams, and they no longer possess their memories from the living world. This occurs when souls who migrate from the human world to the Soul Society end up getting lost within the Dangai. These souls end up wandering aimlessly together, and gradually over time they are drawn together. As more and more of these souls come together, they end up creating a whole new dimension called the Valley of Screams. Within the Valley of Screams, these souls are separated into memories and energy. The memories that are separated from the blanks fuse together and return to the living world in order to form what is known as the Shinenju, and the Shinenju that appears within Bleach Movie 1 is of course Senna. So these are the key plot points and concepts that are introduced to us in Bleach Movie 1. Now, the main area of interest is the Valley of Screams, which is also referred to as the Kyogoku. Now, this is a dimension that forms between the human world and the Soul Society, and it stems from the Dangai. So before going into how these concepts are introduced into the Bleach manga and the Bleach novels, let's first understand how Memories of Nobody fits into the timeline of the Bleach manga. So within the movie, we clearly see Ichigo activate his Bankai, so we are aware that this definitely takes place after the Soul Society arc, and sometime before the Fullbring arc. In addition to this, Ichigo doesn't express any surprise to see that Rukia has her Shinigami powers returned. So this confirms that Memories of Nobody has to take place after chapter 201 of the manga, since it is in that chapter that Ichigo first sees Rukia with her Shinigami powers back. So knowing this, we can now propose a very realistic time for where this movie can fit into the timeline of the manga. So between chapters 228 and 229, there is a 1-month time skip. During this 1-month time skip, everybody is preparing for the battle against Aizen and his army of Arancars, which is set to take place within the winter. Now, we don't really get to see what happens within this 1-month time skip, so it is for that reason that we can assume that Bleach Movie 1 fits into the timeline of this 1 month, where everyone was training. So let's now talk about how concepts that are introduced within Memories of Nobody are referenced within the actual manga. Now, the first instance of this occurs within the 1000-Year Blood War arc in chapter 625. Yoruichi references the Kyogoku or the Valley of Screams, as she describes the Kyogoku as an area where fallen souls exist. She goes on to state that Urahara had figured out that the Kyogoku can Japan maintain itself as a reishi space because of its different reishi structure. During the final arc, Urahara manages to find a way to use the Valley of Screams to his advantage, in order for Ichigo and the others to plan a surprise attack against the Quincy's. Through utilizing a modified Valley of Screams thanks to Riruka and Yukio's abilities, they are able to enter the enemy's territory without releasing any spiritual pressure. Now, the Valley of Screams is mentioned once again in chapter 627, when Ichigo advises Yukio and Riruka to stay behind, while Ichigo and the others enter into the modified Valley of Screams. He tells Riruka that he has entered the Kyogoku once before, and for somebody who only likes cute things, there isn't anything cute about the Kyogoku. Now, we have never seen Ichigo enter into the Valley of Screams within the manga, and the only time that he did in fact enter within the Valley of Screams was during Bleach Movie 1. There is even a panel here that Kubo draws of the Valley of Screams that matches the environment that we see within the movie. Now, in Bleach Volume 69, at the end of chapter 627, Kubo draws a sketch where he advises his readers to see the first Bleach movie for more info on the Kyogoku. Now, this instance is so fascinating, and it is so relevant to the recent Bleach news that we have had. Now, we know that Kubo had released a one-shot chapter in August of this year, where he had introduced the possibility of exploring hell in an entirely new story arc. Now, if Kubo goes ahead and releases more chapters, then it would be fascinating to see how many concepts from the fourth Bleach movie he carries forward into his work. I have already discussed how much Kubo didn't like the direction of Hellverse in my review of that movie, but despite this, a lot of people still believe Bleach Movie 4 to be canon, because the animation studio claimed that Kubo had a supervisory role within the movie, which Kubo later on went on to denounce in comments that were made on the DVD release of Hellverse. Now, this attitude is entirely different to the author notes that I had spoken about at the start of this video from volume 25, where Kubo had expressed how excited he is to see the movie, and he believed that the filmmakers at the time had paid particular attention to detail. Maybe it was because of this that he had no issue with introducing the Valley of Screams into the manga, and even recommending fans to go see movie 1 for more information on the Kyogoku. This is significant because it confirms that Kubo has connected Bleach Movie 1 into his story. He even went as far as to confirm that Ichigo had been to the Kyogoku before within chapter 627. Now, aside from being referenced within the Bleach manga, Memories of Nobody is also brought up within the Can't Fear Your Own World light novels. So in chapter 15 of the second volume of Can't Fear Your Own World, Tokinada mentions the Ryudoji family, as he states that the House of Ryudoji were an ancient aristocratic family who were the first ones to have ventured into the Kyogoku after they had been banished from the great noble houses. They were stripped of their status and were exiled into the Valley of Screams. He goes on to state that it must have been unpleasant for them to have to face their sentence in a completely unknown place. So after having been referenced within the actual manga and now being referenced within Can't Fear Your Own World, so it is very difficult for me to believe that Bleach Movie 1 isn't canon anymore. So this leaves us with one final problem, which is the state of Ichigo's memories at the end of the movie. Now, just before the movie wraps up, just after Senna has died, Rukia states that they will lose their memories of Senna, including their memories of the Valley of Screams and the Ryudoji family. Now, in the post-credit scene of Bleach Movie 1, Ichigo catches a red hairband, which looks exactly like the one that Senna had been wearing, and as soon as he grabs it, his expression on his face changes, as his eyes widen. Through the shock in his face, you can see that he is remembering, and just after it appears that he has remembered, a girl runs onto the bridge with her friends as she is laughing, running towards Ichigo. Ichigo watches her running past him, as we see from the close-up that she not only looks but sounds exactly like Senna. After this happens, Ichigo stands still and smiles before he continues on walking. Now, this post-credit scene for me has always confirmed that Ichigo did not lose his memories. In fact, he had regained them. This also explains why he was able to remember that he had been to the Kyogoku in chapter 627. Now, funnily enough, Senna also makes a cameo appearance within episode 204 of the anime. During one of the scenes where Ichigo is talking, you can see a girl that is stood behind him. Her hairstyle is strikingly similar to Senna's, and she also has her iconic yellow hair ribbon, which is the same colored hair ribbon that she wears when she first meets Ichigo in the movie. The last point that I want to mention about Bleach Movie 1 and Senna in general is that Kubo had spoken about her in the Bleach Jet art book. He had stated that Senna's design was actually the design that he was thinking about when he was designing the daughter of Rukia and Renji. He even goes on to say that she is like their child from a parallel universe, and the only difference between Ichika and Senna is their color schemes. So to summarize all of the points that I've made in this video, Bleach Movie 1 fits into the timeline of the manga during the 1-month gap where Ichigo and the others were training to defeat Aizen. In chapter 627, Ichigo states that he had been to the Kyogoku before. The Ryudoji family and the Valley of of screams is not only mentioned within the manga, it is also mentioned within the Can't For Your Own World light novels. And lastly, at the end of chapter 627, Kubo had even told us to go and watch Bleach Movie 1 for more information on the Kyogoku. So with all of this information here, what do you think about Bleach Movie 1 being canon? Do you guys actually like Memories of Nobody as much as I do? And what do you think about the possibility of Senna being a canon character? I would love to read all of your thoughts on what I have discussed. Do you agree or disagree with me? So definitely continue the discussion in the comments, and I can't wait to see you in my next Bleach video. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more like it, then please consider supporting my channel on Patreon. I have multiple tiers with rewards including access to an exclusive Discord server, video scripts, as well as being the first to know about unreleased upcoming videos. Thank you for your time, and whatever you choose to contribute I will appreciate, and it will mean a lot to me.